Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. I'm joined by my guest from Get Your News On with Ron Cone. We have a question here from Sharif Snuggs. Graham, I'm seriously tired of AOC. I hope people can see how we don't have leaders. No one is coming to help us. We help us. AOC is a fraud. I see through her Maybelline and her $58 sweater. Ron, so, we've been talking on my show and on your shows, I'm sure you have as well. Jimmy Dore proposed this great strategy, in my opinion, to pressure the Democratic Party to get Medicare for all. There's 100 members around of the Progressive Caucus, and they do nothing. Most of them do nothing. There's a handful. You only need 15 to withhold the vote. And it's a great strategy. It's really, this is how you pressure people. AOC a week or so ago said, we got to make people uncomfortable. We have to pressure them. That's what you should do for your leaders. And I think you should absolutely, the people you vote for, the people you support, you should be more critical of them. There's this ridiculous idea in America that if you're critical of my politician, I'm going to take it personally. Why? And saying, hey, AOC, do what you said you were going to do and fight for us. That's not the same as the slams. That's what drives me nuts. Is oh, she's a dumb little girl, or whatever the slams that come from the Fox News crowd. Those are out of line and offensive. But just saying, hey, progressive politician who was this big outsider that upset the status quo, you said you were going to do these things. We want you to do them, and here's a way you have to do it. The minorities have to be loud. Minority groups, be they Progressive Caucus, be they whatever, if they're being subjugated, if their rights and they're not getting what they want, you have to be loud. And then we get slammed for that. It's mystifying. And first of all, we should preface this by Jimmy's gotten a crazy amount of support on this, which is fantastic. Totally. Even from people that have detracted him. And we shouldn't spend too much time on the people that are against him. But it is worth pointing out of why is this so problematic? Don't you? So you're okay with 30,000 people a year dying because they don't have health care? 15 million people have lost their employers' health care because they've been laid off due to COVID-19. Why is this so hard? So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and the fact that people are making this it's some sort of personal thing against AOC or any other progressives. It's the opposite of that, first of all, because it's well, no, these are politicians who campaigned on getting everyone health care. So now we're demanding an action to help accomplish that goal. We're demanding an action on what they campaigned on. We should expect more from them. I expect more from AOC and Ilhan Omar and Ro Khanna and, Mark Pocan even. I expect more from the entire Progressive Caucus than I do from Mitch McConnell or anyone like that. I expect the people who campaigned on healthcare to act on it. And, we're always told, oh, the progressives are so outnumbered. That's true. No one's arguing against that. That is just factually true. So whenever you do have leverage, you have to use it.
Yes.
Here's a time where you have it. If you're not going to use it when you do have it, well, then what's the point of any of this? So, right. I mean, it's absolutely absurd that people are making it, about personality or oh, well, I don't want to hear from this YouTube personality that I don't like, so I'm just going to discount the idea. And this is how politics works. You have to force your representatives to do good things that benefit the people. That's how it's worked in this country for years and years and years. We didn't get the New Deal because FDR felt like being a nice guy.
Did FDR care about ruffling the feathers of the Republicans? That's the other thing. There's always this whiny shit from these liberals of well, the Republicans might not, they won't go along with it. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, in FDR, to his credit, he had the foresight to see what needed to be done. Right. But he didn't do it because he felt like it, because he was this sounds nice. He did it because he looked outside and people were like, you better freaking do this. And who did he see when he looked outside? He saw labor, and he saw the Communist Party, and he saw socialists, and he saw unions, and they were mad as hell. That's how change happens in this country. When you have an entire system owned by Wall Street, they're going to serve Wall Street until you back them in a corner and demand that they don't. So that's just how it works. And it doesn't matter that you like some more than others. Like, that's completely irrelevant. And this whole cult of personality thing, that it's like, oh, you have to handle certain politicians with baby gloves or whatever. That's absolutely ridiculous. Look, Ro Khanna said something like this recently on the Jimmy Dore show. This is from Ro Khanna's mouth. He said, look, when you're in Congress, you're in the 1% of the 1%. If you can't handle some calls to action, if you can't handle some demands to do what you were elected to do by the people who elected you to do it, well, guess what? You shouldn't have that frickin' job. You shouldn't have that job. So this isn't something personal against AOC, nor are we asking. And first of all, this isn't just about AOC. It's about the entire Progressive Caucus, not just her. She just happened to be one of the people that was responding to all the tweets. This is about, we're calling for action from a bunch of people, not just her. You watch those videos, they have a bunch of phone numbers from everyone: Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Ro Khanna. There's a lot of numbers on there, not just hers. But this has nothing to do with personality. This has everything to do with demanding action, especially when it comes to action in regards to healthcare from the people who campaigned on giving everyone healthcare. That's what you campaigned on. That helped you get the gig in the first place. And now we're calling for some action.
Yeah, the thing of like, well, Jimmy is mean or angry. It's just like, hey, man, if and we'll get into this conversation a little bit, but if Trump pardons Assange, I don't like Trump. I think he's detestable. I think he's horrible. But if he wants to pardon Assange, great. I mean, I don't care. Even if he's like, well, he's just doing it to make the Democrats mad. I don't care. Julian Assange should not be in prison. I don't care. Yeah. Get him out. That's actually a good idea. His motivations might be crazy because he's a narcissist and whatever else. I don't care. If Trump were to, like, before I leave office, I'm pardoning him, I'm pardoning Snowden, I'm pardoning Chelsea Manning, and guess what? I'm going to forgive student debt because 85% of it's federal, and the president can do that. And what is he doing? I don't care. I don't care who does that. I don't have student debt. I don't have it, but I know people are struggling right now, and to not have to make a whatever $300 payment is huge when you're struggling. It's huge. It's a huge amount of money. So this, like, I don't agree with Jimmy. He's mean. He sent me a mean tweet or whatever. Like, what the fuck? Shut up. Like, what are you, 5? Like, get out of here. Like, what do you expect politicians to do? You just want AOC and the squad and everybody just to send out nice tweets? I don't care. I was a huge supporter of Bernie Sanders, so I've been immensely critical of him since he left, backed Joe Biden. I called him a quitter and a sellout. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if that's ruffled Bernie Sanders supporters. I called Tulsi a sellout, and I lost some followers because they couldn't handle it. These people aren't your family members. They're not friends of yours. Don't attach your personality to these people. These are politicians, and when they do something great, give them credit. All right, great. Tulsi's trying to advocate to get Julian pardoned. Great. But I don't understand why you think like this is. It's such a short-sighted mentality from people that otherwise seem to be pretty articulate in a lot of ways, and I just don't understand it.
And it's very, very petty. When you stan, STAN, for any politician, it is very, very petty, very, very short-sighted. And honestly, you're just being delusional. I mean, none of them are perfect. They're all far from it. And, most of them are probably not as good as you think, if we're being totally brutally honest. Right. So, demand the policies and strategize on the best actions on how to get there. But it's really interesting to me. I mean, I was texting with Kevin Ronka about this earlier. It's so amazing to me that we are a country in such dire straits where they are getting away with such criminal things. And yet even people who are on the left, who are paying attention to this stuff more than, a lot of people, I think you could say, are still engaging in such pettiness. And it's like, who the fuck cares? I mean, think about it 10 years from now. we're like maybe like your kids or your young nephews or whatever are saying, hey, in 2020 when there was that push for healthcare, where were you? Were you on the right side? Do you want to look them in the eye and say, in principle, I was on the right side, but there was this YouTuber who was just too angry, and I just couldn't get over that. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like did they do that in the 60s? Were there people going like, Abby Hoffman's hair, I just can't get on board with it. I get the ideas. I know that Vietnam's bad, but I saw his stand-up routine, and there just weren't enough punches. I couldn't get on board with Abby Hoffman. I don't like the way he wore the American flag. So I just went ahead and voted Nixon. Like, were there people that fucking petty back then? If we had Twitter, there probably would have been, but...
I mean, I think you're a chump to vote for the Democratic Party, but when Malcolm X said it, he was being just mean. I mean, he was raising his voice. It was just mean. And I can't get on board with that. It's just not nice. I mean, I'm all for ending Jim Crow laws, but Rosa Parks just sat in the front of the bus in a really kind of aggressive, mean. It wasn't, she took somebody else's seat. Like, she was really like, I just can't get involved with that kind of mean, divisive behavior.
I mean, that's just where you lose me. That's where, I mean, he said, I have a dream without being considerate of anyone who has insomnia. Well, what about people who don't get to sleep at night? No consideration for their feelings. And that's just where you lose me.
I mean, AOC's response is like, well, you haven't thought about what happens after this step, which is like,
yes, we have.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, all the argument, and I get it if you want to discuss the strategy. And I have seen some actual criticisms of the strategy itself without, resorting to just lame, weak attacks. And all of the reasons given just pale in comparisons to all the reasons to do it. Oh, well, it might not pass the Senate. Yeah, well, let's have everyone on record during a pandemic denying people health care. That has a ripple effect. And I understand, somebody put out the argument that they're like, well, by the time there'd be like political consequences, i.e. the midterms, this will have been like a while ago because we're talking January. Okay, I understand that. That's a point. But what you're forgetting is what this reignites is all a bunch of action-based initiatives. And if you do this, if you bring a vote up and you force people to go on record denying people healthcare during a once-in-a-century pandemic, first of all, that will still have consequences in November. I get it. It's going to be out of the spotlight for a while. That is a factor. But people can recycle that and bring it back up. That will happen. We can all guarantee that will happen, first of all. Second of all, you're igniting a spark by putting it front and center. The media will have to acknowledge it. Yeah. And then you're going to see a resurgence of activism on the state levels. You're going to see more people out in the streets protesting. And that's what needs to happen. So it's like it's almost like a lot of the people who are saying we shouldn't do this, it's almost like they're just looking for reasons to be contrarian. They're starting from the conclusion of let's not do this. When it's like, if you really want to look at the forest, there's so many reasons to do this.
So historically, there's so many times where minority groups within Congress have done this.
Yes.
I mean, like John Boehner. This is how politics works. John Boehner got out of office because of the Tea Party. I mean, they were like, they ran him out of there. I mean, and so this is not just to mention the big historical moments like the Civil Rights Movement and stuff like that, but like it happened. People have done this kind of stuff on the floor of the Congress to say no. Mike Gravel read the Pentagon Papers to put them on official record to show this is what's been going on. That was a very defiant activist act. That's what his constituents voted for him to do. And he said, all right, you want everything to be easy? It's like they just want brunch. And it's like, well, now's not the time. And there's no, AOC put that tweet out, well, there's no step 2 or there's no step 2. What do you, like, it's such a crybaby thing. Like, oh, we can't. And it's like, when is the time? When there's a worse pandemic that has a 10% mortality rate rather than a 1 to 2% mortality rate when the economy is shut down and there's 60% unemployment rather than the 20-some 30% that we have right now, when there's 60 million looming foreclosures, not 28 million? Like, when is it? When is the time? When is the time? Tell me. Right. When the hospitals are 200% overrun rather than at 90%? Like
when they all need medical tents, when every single hospital in the country has a freaking medical tent outside because they have to.
When it looks like The Walking Dead, is that when we're going to do it? Like, when's it going to happen? When? Like, I'm just like, what is your point? And don't be critical of my AOC and my squad. I'm sorry. I was excited for them. I've done numerous videos about how awesome it is. Now you got to do what you were voted to do. And if you're going to play ball with the Democratic establishment because you don't want to ruffle Mama Bear's feathers, then I'm sorry. Get out of the way.
Yeah, because we elected you to ruffle Mama Bear's feathers.
Yes.
That's the problem. Like, I get it. You're calling on them to put some of their colleagues in the hot seat. But that's what they were freaking elected to do. And we're doing our part because it's our part to basically be outside and to put pressure on them. They need to be able to say, the AOCs in Congress, they need to be able to say, look, Mama Bear, our voicemails are full. Our website crashed from comments. People are ratioing. We are getting every tweet we publish ratioed because people are demanding this action from us because we campaigned on Medicare for all. So you need to bring this to a vote. And if you don't, we can't vote for you for speaker.
Yeah.
That's us doing our part. And if it makes them uncomfortable to confront their colleagues like that, I'm sorry, that comes with the freaking gig. AOC herself said, you got to make people uncomfortable. That's what protesting's about. Well, guess what? Sometimes that involves her too. You got to make her uncomfortable because, yeah, I get it. She probably doesn't want to, put all of her colleagues in the hot seat. But that's what she was freaking elected for. So she's got to do it.
And you can't, I'm sorry.
That's the job.
Yeah, and I can't just listen to, it's the Republicans are bad. I'm sorry. No, you can't blame them for everything. You can't blame them for everything. You did a secret verbal vote for the CARES Act. Come on. Yeah. So, you're not, and all these, as I said, 15 million people have lost their employer health insurance because they've been laid off due to this pandemic.
Yeah.
And you got to help those people out.
And we've been completely abandoned. I mean, it's yeah. And I know you mentioned you want to talk about, what's in this new stimulus, air quotes, bill. But it's like, I mean, it's like they're not even trying to pretend anymore. Yeah. They're not even hiding it. The mask has been completely ripped off. And I don't see how, if you're paying attention, you look around and you have any ounce of excuses for anybody in office. Like, it really is us versus them in so many ways. And we really have to put them in a corner if we want any type of change. I mean, the fact that we are fighting tooth and nail for the absolute bare minimum, which is going to maybe, unlikely, but maybe be a $1,200 fuck you payment.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you make any excuses for any of this? I'm at the point where I'd be fine to abolish the presidency, abolish the Senate, abolish the House, and just had a people's legislature. Bunch of issues with that, but I doubt it could be shittier than what we have now.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know. I'm ready to abolish all of them. Get rid of all of them. Get rid of Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, AOC, all of them. Yeah. I don't give a shit.
Every single one. That's why it's like when they're just like when you're calling action to call your Congress people, it's like, oh, you got to compromise. It's like, this is my fucking compromise. Yeah. This is my ideal. They're all fired. My compromise, calling them and asking them to do what we hired them to do. That's already my freaking compromise.
So you want to compromise? I don't think you realize Congress, Senate, Republicans, Democrats, CEOs, billionaire ruling class. I don't think you realize how close you are from the masses just rising up, as they have historically done every time they have been this mistreated by the handful of those in power. So you better really, this calling your voicemail and saying push for vote, this is our concession. This is us, playing nice. Because the alternatives, I mean, you can ask Marie Antoinette how her neck feels, because that's what's coming. And I don't think they realize it. This isn't just tough talk to try to sound crazy on a YouTube show. I'm not the one bringing a guillotine outside of Jeff Bezos' office or his home. I haven't done that. But protesters are doing that. And they're going to start bringing those outside of Congress and the Senate and Nancy Pelosi's house and Mitch McConnell's house. I mean, there's protests every day outside of Garcetti's home. The big lefty liberal. And there's videos of people who just got the crap kicked out of them by LAPD in front of Garcetti's house. Yeah. So if you think this is going
by
away,
his order,
yeah, crybaby candy ass that he is,
yeah, he's the worst.
He is the worst, and he's a Democrat. So this party is the worst. And you think crowded voicemails and YouTubers getting angry? You think that's bad? Okay. It's gonna right now. This is a day spa compared to 30 million people getting evicted and taking to the streets. Because when you're hungry and you don't have a home, let me tell you something. You don't care anymore. And the last person you ever want to be in a street fight with is someone with nothing to lose. You in Congress, you in your nice homes, you in your CEO gigs, you got a lot to lose. People with jobs and homes and families, they have stuff to lose. When you take that away, they don't have anything to lose. And they don't care if your home gets burned to the ground or your Congress, your Capitol building, your White House. They don't care. And they don't care if, the first ever fill in the blank identity politic is in there. They don't care. So you might want to listen to these voicemails. You might want to do this because history is not going to be kind to you because you played more centrist, incremental bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it just goes to show, I mean, people who are making it out like these types of demands right now are too much. It's like what planet are you living on? Like where are you? Look around you. Look around you.
Well, that's just it. They're not. Or when they drive through any city in America and see the tent cities, they don't see it. They just drive by it like it's a billboard or something. And they're just like, They don't see it. When they see these videos of food lines, people waiting in line for hours, the food banks nationwide have said, we have been at holiday levels,
every day.
Since March. Usually it's like, Thanksgiving, Christmas, there's a big demand. Okay. Since March. So, okay. All right. I mean, if this is too difficult for you, ask yourself, what's it going to look like when there's an angry mob outside of your home?
Yeah.
And they don't care if you got a D in front of your name.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So it's like, this is the concession. This is right here is the concession. And, people, look, you don't stand for politicians, no matter who it is. Only stand for three things: love, a general strike, and any band that I like. That's it. Anything else?
I would supplant the band thing with surfing. Like that's what I would put in there. But yes,
surfing and any movie that Graham likes. So five things, folks. Wait, cats. All right, six. But there are only six things.
The Christopher Nolan Batman. Okay, seven. So the Christopher Nolan Batman and vegan smoothies, 8. Okay, 8. But that's it. Those are the only things.
Politicians still not on the list. Still not on the list. We got 8 things. And
sustainable rubber yoga mat. Okay, 9. But that's it. I'm putting a ceiling on it, Ron.
We gotta stop it somewhere. We really do.
Folks, please watch Get Your News On with Ron. Go to ronplacone.com and shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.